Hey YouTube, this is Sensation reporting in for another review. This week, actually, we are reviewing the long-awaited MTH GS-4 in the 4449. Now, the first thing you'll notice is, holy moly, the box is huge. So, why does this box need to be huge? What's the point? The engine's this big. That's one thing I don't understand, is why does it have to be huge? Anyway, let's go ahead and get the box open here. Takes a little bit to kind of get it off. Obviously, the first thing you'll notice is they're trying to get you to buy their DCS system. It's perfectly fine. You know, it's MTH. To be expected. Obviously, you get this nice layer of foam. And then in a baggie here, you get the smoke fluid, a non-rubber band driven axle, or a non-rubber band traction tire axle, and then you also get the tool to take the drive rods off of the locomotive. So that's what you get in this locomotive, or in this box, I mean. So go ahead and take the engine out. It's got some pretty nice weight to it. And just in case you were confused, it says open here and open here. Just in case you were confused by the model. So obviously you have to get the sleeve out of here first. Carefully undo that. And you also get this little piece here in between the engine and tender, which I'm just going to take out because well, I don't need it in there. So that's interesting. So the one thing you can't do with this engine is you can't take the engine and tender apart. It will not allow you to, which is I'm not going to say it's a fault or anything. I'm just going to say it's, I don't know how to say it. I like it, but at the same time I don't, because I mean, sometimes you're going to have a problem where you need to get the tender and the engine, or you need to get the engine without the tender and diagnose the tender or something, or whatever, or what have you. And I don't know, not the biggest fan of that. Let me get the box out of the way here. So I mean, this box really reminds me of the triplex box. Got zapped. Okay. Okay, so now the locomotive is on the track. It doesn't feel like it has a whole lot of weight to it, especially when you pull it back and forth like that. So let's go ahead and get started with the details. So this locomotive, according to MTH, is supposed to have a smoking whistle, and it's supposed to be able to have the smoke and all that turned on as well. And the other thing you get with MTH, Assuming I can get the tender cover off. There we go. Alright, so this just pretty much has the volume turned all the way on and the smoke turned all the way on. So for this review, I'm going to leave it on for now, and then I will probably turn it off in a little bit. But anyway, this little piece is what holds it in place. Oh, come on. Anyway, you'll see it. It's there. Okay, so yeah, it's this piece right here. So it goes in the back of the tender. I was just trying to get it to focus. So let's go ahead and start the engine up so we can see the smoke and all that fun stuff. There's supposedly a way you can get the smoke unit to turn, or actually there's a way you're supposed to be able to get the smoking whistle, although I'm not entirely sure how to get that on, so I'm not going to even bother with it, at least for the moment. Let's go ahead and turn the engine on. I mean, there's not really that much to talk about with this engine. I'm sure it's got all the upgrade LEDs and all that. I mean, again, we can't really see until we get the power on. Go ahead and do this. We need Loco 3. To program on the main. Loco 3 24449. So that was the whistle and the bell. That high-pitched noise, I believe, is the smoke unit going crazy. They probably don't have any smoke fluid in it. Let me go and turn that off. So before I turn it off, I want to test something here real quick.
Good to go.
So obviously we need a little screwdriver to turn the smoke unit off, which I normally keep it off anyway. So if you guys really want to see the smoke unit, I'll do a separate video of just the smoke unit where I have a little bit extra smoke fluid in it. Let me go ahead and move this engine forward, and I'll bring my other one into view so we can compare the two. Now that we've got both of these engines here, we've got 4450 and we've got 4449. Now, as you can tell, one of them is brass, the other is MTH. The other thing you'll notice is there's no marker lights on 4450. And up here and over here, and there are marker lights here and over here. And the other thing we'll notice is the number boards are illuminated on 4449 and they are not on 4450. However, let's see the brightness of these lights. Yeah, that's I mean, so here's the good thing with 4449, the MTH one, which would be on the left, is the flashing is more prudent. It's more kind of in your face, look at me. Whereas the 4450, this one here, is a lot less versus this one here. However, they both really do kind of give off the same brightness. Sort of. However, so we have 4449 with Proto Sound 3.0. We've heard the whistle and we've heard the bell. And then we're hearing just the idle sounds of both of them. Whereas the brass version here, the West Side models, has Tsunami 2 and it's located in the cab. And so it's located here in the front of the locomotive, whereas the sounds for 4449 are coming from the tender. The other thing we can notice clearly on, I'm not sure if it's like this on both sides. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's just a marker light. Whereas on 4450, it's actually the locomotive number. But on 4449, it's just, well, actually that'd be the train number. I guess that means that's the train number 2. So I guess that is accurate. Now on these, you'll see silver plow, and then the painted plow. The other thing you'll notice, and this is not a difference, this is a similarity, is rather than saying Southern Pacific lines on the red in the small lettering, it says Southern Pacific, and this one also says Southern Pacific. However, the MTH one is a bit crisper, I think. It also seems to be properly placed, but I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. Whoa. So let's go ahead and listen to the bell and whistle of the Tsunami 2. There's the bell. Now this is a custom whistle off of, I think, I don't know what engine. I did some research and I had my friend Robbie put the sound decoder in this locomotive, do the install and all that for this engine, and we played around with different whistles and we did some research on everything, and this was the closest sounding whistle we could find. I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is 4449, which is this one here, had a lot of different whistles on it when she was around. I mean, a lot. I mean, I think she had a UP3 time off of a big boy or an FEF or a Challenger of some kind for a while.
I'm gonna blow her down.
Now
Here?
that's MTH Crew Talk doing the normal thing. The tenders are pretty much exactly the same, except for the fact that the handrails on the MTH one are a bit more up there versus these, which are below the cab line. And those are definitely not above or below the cab line whatsoever. Oh, come on, there we go. And yes, I know there's a couple wires in the cab of this one. The good thing about 4449 is it's got a cab interior and a light, and it's got white walls on it. And this one does not have the white walls, nor does it have the stars on the drive axles. But it is pulling the daylight train. It looks pretty good pulling it. We'll be looking closely at this line here. It's a little bit off. You can kind of see it. Just a hair. Not much, but just a hair. These are also the MTH coaches that are on this train currently. There's kind of a theme going. We've got MTH in the house tonight. The other thing with 4450 is it's got about a 15-20 second delay capacitor in it. So this thing will last 20 seconds off of track power, still running. Still just idling or with its lights on. It's cool. It's like a flashlight almost. Now, which Mars light do I like better? Honestly, I love the bright lights. I really do. I'm a huge fan of bright lights because they just make everything better. However, they might be just a hair too bright. Just maybe. I mean, not saying the bright lights aren't a bad thing. I mean, you do kind of want them to be bright, and they look cool, and they look really fun. But yeah. So I'm going to bring 4449 in front here so we can look at more of the details closely, and then just keep comparing it to 4450. Okay, so now that we got 4449 hooked onto the daylight consist, let's go ahead and check out this gap between here. Now, as you can see, there is almost no difference whatsoever in the line at all. None. The other awesome thing that this engine has is a standard coupler. A standard metal coupler versus the standard MTH electro coupler that they like to put on engines, which is no bueno. Not good. And they also put the same coupler on the tender as they did on the front of the locomotive. Now, this locomotive is also die-cast, so it's got quite a bit of weight to it. Just like the brass version. The brass version doesn't have a lot of weight to it. It doesn't have a traction tire like the MTH one does. But the brass version pulls this train very nicely. MTH cars are probably some of the best rolling cars that you can get. Anyway. Other thing we can tell off of this load, based off of the MTH version, is the daylight lettering on the locomotive itself. It really looks a lot better. Let me try and get it hooked onto there. Yeah, as you can see, it looks so much better on the MTH version than it does on the brass version. But you also have to remember, this brass engine is probably 40 years old. At least 40 years old, if not more. So it's not exactly going to be prototypical for today. Whereas this engine is going to be prototypical for 2019. or 2018, or whenever MTH went and looked at the locomotive. This locomotive is going to be prototypically accurate for it being alive now, because 4449 still exists today. Now, here's the other thing. Look at the top here. There's the whistle for 4450. Not up there like it could be. Whistle for 4449 is up here by the smokestack. Or by the exhaust stack, so to speak. So, I'm going to let this locomotive, I'm going to turn this 4449 loose, pulling her coach consist, and we're going to see how she runs. Now, if I may be so kind here, I'd like to move 4450 out of the way so we can look at the older GS locomotive from MTH. So 4450, sorry, but I don't need you right now.
You're good to go.
4460, come on up. So as you're hearing, what's in 4460, the engine over here, that one, is the old MTH Proto Sound 3 sound file. What does that mean for us as model railroaders? Well, technically, for 4449, they use a sound file from 611 to make these sounds for 4449. Now that's okay and all because they're both Northerns. I think they're both pretty much built by the same company. However, there are definitely some differences. For one, the bell is the first one. We heard the bell on 4460. Again, let's hear it again. Let's go hear it on 4449.
Good to go.
It's crisper, yes, but I think it's slower. Like it seems to play. It's slower for dinging, so to speak. And then let's hear the whistle on 4449 again. And then on 4460 again. So 4460, unlike the GS-4, unlike 4449, the whistle plays a different tone when after you hold it for a certain amount of time. 4460 does not do that. However, I'm sure if I were to program it in there and a little bit more and do a little fiddling, I'm sure I could get it to play some extra sounds. These both have Proto Sound 3.0 in them. They both do sound amazing. I'm not gonna lie about that. However, we do find some differences. For one, the cab on 4460 has the roof hatch always open. The roof hatch on 4449 is closed all the time. You cannot open it. Black painted release valves, brass painted release valves. Brass whistle, brass horn, painted horn. Let's get down underneath here. So if you look real carefully on 4460, you see right there in the front, it's got that little mustache, or got that little beard thing going on. Well, that's the bell. And unlike on 4449, it's not there. The bell is hidden somewhere on the locomotive. However, I do still like both these engines, but unlike 4449, check out what 4460 can do. Yeah, the tender can come off the track completely by itself, and the tender and the engine can come off the track by itself. So we've seen the run by, we've compared it to the older model, we've compared it to the brass version. So I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I've been rambling on about how great MTH is, and oh, look at how clever MTH is, and all this, that, and the other. I've wanted a 4449 ever since I saw it in AFT colors, pictured in AFT colors, in visiting St. Louis, visiting the Arch in downtown St. Louis. And I've been wanting a 4449, and I finally got one. I had a Bachmann version of it, but again, it was Bachmann, and yeah, it wasn't great. Now I have an MTH version, and I'm much happier with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been Sensation signing off. See you guys later.